This is Kyle today, and I'm going to present you our project for enterprise virtualization. Um, aim of the project is to have a virtualized environment where the students and teacher can use it for educational purpose. By the end of this project, the user can deploy a uh, virtual machine with a minimum interaction that has IIS and SQL installed in it. And this is how we done it. This is the specification we use like hardware we use in this project. Dell 710 has a processor of Intel Xeon E5607 with a 2.2 gigahertz and 54 gig of RAMs, 14 terabyte of storage, and 6 network adapter. And the T710 has a processor of Intel Xeon E56606, 2.13 gigahertz, 24 gig of memory, 3 terabytes of storage, and 4 gigabit Ethernet ports. This is the client's machine we use. The custom build, which has an Intel Core of i5-4670K with a 3.4 gigahertz, 8 gig of RAM, 2 terabytes of storage, 1 network adapter, and we use 2 of them. And on the Lenovo computers, which has a Intel Pentium Dual E2140 1.6 gigahertz processor, 2 gig of RAMs, 160 gigabit of storage, 1 gigabit port, and we have like 40 devices. And we use a router and switch to make the network. This is the operating system we use: the Microsoft Server 2012, Windows Server 2012 R2, Microsoft Hyper-V Server 2012, and for client machine we use Windows 8 Enterprise, Windows 8.1 Home, Windows 8.1 Pro. And for the database software we use Microsoft SQL Server 2012, Microsoft SQL Server 2012 SP1, Microsoft SQL Server 2012 SP2, and Microsoft SQL 2014. And the other software we use is the Microsoft System Center 2012 R2, but mostly we use Virtual Manager to do most of it. You also use App Controller, MDT, and WDS. And we use that 2 version of ADK, which is the 8.1 and 10. And this is our network topology. We call it WUAU.cloud. And it has a skimming address of 192.168.0.0/24, a default gateway of 192.168.0.54, a DNS server of 192.168.0.1, a DHCP score of 192.168.21.253, because we exclude the first 20. And this D01 has an IP address of 192.168.0.1, the VMM that has 192.168.0.2, and where we use 192.168.0.10 to 13, because it has we use a 4 adapter for this one. And SQL Server has a 192.168.0.3 and a client server that has 192.168.0.253. This is the steps we did to make this project work. First is to create the domain, which is the DNS and the DHCP. Install WDS, Windows Deployments Service, and MDT, Microsoft Deployment Tool. We also install MSQL for a database server and a hypervisor server, which we're going to store our VMs later, and the install VMM, which is a virtual machine manager. Which will help us to create a virtual machine, app controller, and creating a VM to deploy OS using MDT sysprep, creating VM template in SCVVM using sysprep PhD, and creating a self-service using SCCVM. This is the instances and servers we installed in each server. The server here, the DC01, BV, SQL, and VMM. In DC01, we use it as a domain controller, install DNS, DHCP, WDS, ADK, MDT. In Burvey, we install hypervisor, which is the Microsoft hypervisor, Microsoft Hyper-V. It's used for storage of VMs. MSQL server for database server, and VMM for ADK, app controller, and SCVVM. This is after installing that domain, we are going to install the WDS, which is pretty basic. It's like just installing enabling a services in server manager. WDS is a server technology from Microsoft for network-based installation of Windows operating system. Basically, its main purpose is to have a PXE boot. So you can see PXE boot it is described as a standardized client server environment that boots a software assembly to retrieve from a network or PXE enabled clients. So you can see just next, then finish. It's pretty basic. Then on that WDS, we tried to deploy an image using WDS. We import a operating system, and we put it on we import it in WDS and try to install on test clients, and it works. And the next step we did is we install and configure MDT. MDT or Microsoft Deployment Toolkit is required to minimize the interaction during the network-based installation and sysprep the virtual machine as part of its deployment. MDT is like a it summarizes what you want to do, so to minimize the interaction of the client. I'm going to show you how we did it later. Okay, and this MDT requires a shared folder to store operating system, task sequence, scripts, and etc. that it uses. Additionally, folders will be created within deployment share for better management. We use $sign to the folder to hide it from other users aside from admin. So we use a $sign at the end so that only admin can see it. And these are the prerequisites of WDS VMM. First is the ADK, which is called Windows Assessment Deployment Kit. It is a collection of tools that you can use to customize, assess, and deploy Windows operating system to new computers. It's pretty much basic. You just next, and we just acquire these features, which is the deployment tools and WinPay. We also need Net Framework 3.5, which is used for executing the software environment to hardware. And it's an application virtual machine that provides services such as security, memory management, and exception handling. These are the steps we use to add images on WDS. First, we insert just the Windows Server 2012 R2 on optical drive, then open deployment workbench, then deploy, share, expand, MDT deployment, share, expand operating system, expand server, then right click on Windows Server 2012, then select import operating system, then just create add full set of source file because we're going to use the ISR, and change the directory to optical drive with installation media, then set the destination to Windows Server 2012 R2, which folder we created. We just confirm summary by clicking next. Once completed, click finish, and after that after we import an image. Every time we import image, we should update deployment share. And this is how we create a folder in the operating system. So you can see it's pretty much basic. Okay, after we put an image in MDT, the next task is to create a task sequence. Task sequence is each operating deployment requires a separate task sequence. This sequence will provide details on the installation that happens and allow administrator to perform installation of roles, features, or application, as well as running PowerShell scripts. These are some settings that an administration can create. General, this is where the admin create sequence number and sequence name template. The admin choose what would you like to use as a starting point. Example lab sysprep capture standard server sequence or client. Then this one is where the admin choose what's operating system should you use to deploy or capture, and specify the product key of machine. And admin can also put some additional details like name of computer, organization, or even internet homepage. And this one is used for authentication. And this is a screenshot of summary of task sequence. As you can see, task sequence ID is testws 2012 R2. Its name is install Windows Server 2012 R2, and operating system we use is Windows Server 2012 R2 Server Standard. Windows Server name is test. The org name is repant repute ID with a homepage of ping.com and password. And this is the test for importing image on MDT. Because we need to put the light touch image to run the MDT on WDS. First, we open WDS server services, expand server, expand that zip WhatsApp AU the cloud. Then right click on the boot image, then select the boot image, and select the following image which is stored in NAS, deployment share, boot, light touch, Win ID. provide the image name light touch WinP8, then description light touch WinP8, confirm summary, and next finish. And you can also edit the pixie boot policy on the WJS if you want to want the user to press F12 to continue pixie boot. This is how you do it. And after installing that, we used to capture a sysprep and capture a image to produce a VHD files that we're going to use later on our deployment. And the next one is we install MS SQL Server. During installation of MySQL Server, we choose a new SQL Server standalone installation and add features. And we usually just use these two features we needed. This is the two features basically need for a project, which is the database engine services and management tools basic. In here in my SQL Server, we created an account called MS SQL Server, and we use it as going to be our username. Use like a username and password for this SQL Server, and pretty much that's it. And after you finish installation, you just have to restart this computer. And this one, the MSQL Server has a prerequisite of Net Framework 3.5, so we need to install it first before installing MSQL Server. As you can see, this is the screenshots we use, just basic management tools. And as you can see, we've completed the installation of SQL Server. The next part is installing VMM, which is the Virtual Machine Manager. Virtual Machine Manager is a management solution for the virtualized data centers, enabling you to configure and manage your virtualization hosts, networking, and storage sources in order to create a deployed virtual machine and services to private cloud that you have created. So basically, it's the backend of our project. And this is how we install it. We select the VMM Manager management service and this one. Then you just click next. We try the evaluation. Let's agree on the license agreement, and we put our account in, which is what we created for this service, which is the VMM admin. And we specify the ports we needed, which are these ones, and we are going to locate our library server. This is where we're going to save our virtual machines, and that's it. Installation summary and finish. Next part is adding a horizon VMM. So on this project, we choose to use the Verbi as the host for the VMM. On this part here, we're just going to open the VMM, then add hosts, then select a user here and add password. The user we use is the administrator. Then on here we have to specify which machine we should use as a host, and we choose Verbi. and we use a test host group to be the host group. As you can see, this is how we create a hardware profile for VMM. We choose generation 1 Hyper-V, and we specify which compatibility that we're going to use, and we choose Hyper-V. Then specify the memory, like startup memory, minimum memory, and maximum memory. And here we just want to pixie boot as a the first boot, and to add a VM network, which is the VMV external. And okay, then after that we create a guest profile. This is where we're going to specify which OS we are going to use. And here we use Microsoft Windows, and we use Microsoft Server 2012 R2 standard, and specify the product key. It's so important to specify the product key. Then add password, then specify like time zone you want to use, and specify the roles you want to have it. Then after that we're going to create now the VMM template. That template is what we're going to use to deploy the virtual machine. What it will be look like. We basically we just have to combine all the things we used, like the guest OS profile, the hardware we choose, hardware specification, then the and that's it, and the HD we used before, like what I said from NDT, like for suspect and capture. And here's how we create the VM template. We just right click on VM templates, then create templates. Then we're going to just select which VM source we want to use, which is the BHD file. We use we use on MDT and WS before. And here you just put VM template source, identity, and this one we just have to click this arrow and it will show up what hardware we created. Same as here, which is the operating system. Just right click and choose it, and it will be alright. Then we should select our also what MS SQL server we're using, and that's it. And now we just have to create a cloud, which is this one, and we use name as test.12.cloud. Then we choose resources, which the host we use in VMM. Then which logical networks we use. On this one, which load balancer for this cloud, we just use Microsoft load balancer, and here we tick all the box for ports classification. Then choose which storage and the capacity of this cloud, like how much can it handle, how like memories and like that. And this is the summary of what we done, and this one is for the which virtual machine capability, like because we're using Hyper-V, so we choose Hyper-V. Then after that we install App Controller. App Controller is a highly dependent software on VMM. App Controller is a product for managing applications and services that are deployed in private or public cloud infrastructure, mostly from application owner perspective. It provides a unified self-service experience that lets you configure, deploy, and manage virtual machines and services. And App Controller is basically the front end of this project. This is what like a client user can see, and this is how we install it, which is pretty much basic. Just install, then set the agreement, then just click next because it should be because it has a prerequisite of WCF data services and web service IS. Just click and install it and it will install. That's prerequisites. Then here we create a users admin for this one, so we use app admin, and we use the domain server as a app controller website. Then we choose our SQL server we're using, then confirm, and after that, after it's installed, you can now access the VMM we use through Internet Explorer. We just have to put the IP address of the VMM server, but first you need to install a Silverlight first. Silverlight is a deprecated application framework for writing and running rich internet application, similar to Adobe Flash. So it's done, which is pretty much basic. Like next to, then you just have to log in as credential, because we created like 10 users in our domain, so we just have to use that account given and the password, and just go. After that, you just click on deploy, then click cloud and select what cloud we use, then template, which template we use, then we just have to deploy and pick the templates we are using here. And this is showing how it works. That's it. Thank you.